MooseTalks.
Episode 2 Anatomy Doodles and Animation Stuff. Alright, here we go. We're gonna start a new anatomy thing. So, I guess today I'm gonna talk about fat. It's something I recently studied and have been looking at because I believe the human body has it. And the way I kind of looked at it was the way that some of these areas tend to pinch or fold onto themselves. Because I think I remember watching a video on YouTube where a Disney artist or some sort was talking about that. And it's essentially people's skin kind of folding on itself with the fat and muscle. And some things kind of like merge, which is interesting. But this tends to be the distribution that I think about. Also, I learned that like the way that fat on arms tends to work, what I didn't know was and it's not probably always the case, but it tends to get thinner the closer you get to the forearm and hand, which surprised me. So you get these kind of flabs, and then like it progressively gets thinner, which is really interesting to know. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, there's not a lot of nuance because like most of the stuff you'll have to know comes directly from anatomy. That is what I'll say. Like a lot of the nuances comes from knowing that, and then like getting rid of certain areas of the anatomy, and it does help quite a bit. There's this weird fat pad around the side of the hips that can start to come and form. I think it's because there's this muscle and the band that would be on the side of your leg. But basically it just kind of sits there. And I'll color code this so it's easier to see what's going on. The thing is, this is not muscle. None of this is actually muscle. It's all fat distribution. So like you'd have some fat around the kind of bottom part of the arm. You'd have, I can't remember, let me think about this. There's like this kind of fold that happens underneath the shoulder blade to like I can't remember the muscle. It's not the lats, although it's a muscle that's in the lats or like underneath it. So that becomes like this kind of shoulder fat muscle thing. You have what would be the obliques mixed in with like kind of the back fat, and then you have the butt, obviously, and thighs and stuff like that. In fact, joint areas, when you draw them, they'll tend to basically fold on themselves, right? So like if you have an elbow, like eventually the skin just kind of sags so much that it like folds over top of the elbow. That's what'll happen. God, this is a jam. I hope it's royalty free. Yeah, it is. I was trying to make sure I have royalty free music always. It gets picked up, but it's still royalty free, so it's good. But yeah, even around the legs, like you have like the kind of knee to calf area, like it just folds on itself. So there you go. That's how I draw fat. And like I said, like in the intro, I'm gonna go back over anatomy a little bit. So like, probably one of the more fun ways I saw the serratus muscles, like side ribcage muscles drawn, was TB Choi, and I don't know where they learned it from, but it was fascinating to watch. I think it was on one of her YouTubes or Twitch streams, whatever it is. But she basically drew these kind of fans and then did this. From what I can tell, anatomy-wise, I'm not sure. I'd have to look more into like real images and sculptures. is that the serratus muscles will like kind of connect on one of the pecs and then go insert into the abs. So that's what I've been doing lately. These are cartoony abs, they're fun though. With all honesty though, I've been on an animation kick recently because of one kind of fundamental of sorts, which is technically the wave principle, but Richard Williams calls it snapping or breaking point. And what I found fascinating, and let me turn down the music. The music is really loud on my side. I'll just kind of raise it a little bit more, that way. But basically the snapping point is a moment where the drawing kind of flips itself. So what's really cool about that is you can use that to your advantage to draw poses with silhouette. So like, let's say you have this arm, you got like a hand or blah blah, like a finger. How it would snap is you'd basically, and I'll actually bring this over to the animation document that I have open just for this stream. So you got that. And then you got this, where it's like snapping to the other side. I also gotta be kind of careful about how I do this, because I gotta remember which finger I'm using. Is that right? So it'd be outside, yeah, it'd be like this. And technically, if I, like, depending on which way I want the arm to be facing, so it's like facing this way. So, like, this would probably be the beginning frame, and then I'd snap, and then he'd, like, throw his arm out this way, if I were to do that. I might actually just reverse it so I don't have to do that, because I like the other side, but that's me personally. I think there's a flip key. I'm just gonna right-click on the mouse. And then flip horizontal. But yeah, this'll do for the basis of the animation to show this concept, because you can have a lot of fun with it. I actually have to copy it a different way. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go into U, and then Control U does this, and I can change the colors. And basically, snap back, so I'm gonna try to use these in the animation frames, and I need to pop up the animation toolbar. But basically we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna assign the frame, and then we're gonna grab this, and then now we got it in the frame. Use this one, sign it in, and then do the same thing here. Assign that, so we got this. And then we don't need these frames, and in fact, do that. And then I'll actually move this up to add. Can I move it up? What's going on here? Wrong layer. Basically, I'll move it up so I can add another frame, because like we need a starting frame. It's makes a little bit more sense. I'm gonna turn on Onion Skin. You don't always need to or want to do this all the time, just to train your muscle memory on positioning things correctly. A person I consider my friend told me to do that, and I haven't really done it still. but I think he's right about like training your eye to like kind of perceive the volumes in space. But this is a convenient tool, so. And in fact, if I were to draw his arm, it'd be like this. So you're gonna need another frame. We're gonna have this one be more like this. And this isn't supposed to be pretty. Like, people constantly were telling me last night that they're like, oh, it needs to be, like, no, like, that's what the tie-down stuff would be for. Like, I'm doodling, basically keyframes, not even in-betweens. This isn't about smooth animation. In fact, the more I looked at art, like, the more I'm realizing how important, the bare basics is, to art, and also not getting lost in the details. So, like, it's very important to me now to just, dedicate time to doing every step properly, in my opinion. And that's another thing I'm starting to trust more, is the process. Like, just the process. Make everything as good as it can be for whatever specific thing it needs to be in. That's going to be what I'm going to be doing going forward. Like, make every step of the process as good as it needs to be, and then some. Like, it doesn't need to be as, like, detailed or as figured out, but, like, it's part of the process to make it better artwork. So, like, I'm going to put in the legwork, even though I don't have to some degree, to make, like, sketches a little bit better. But they're still sketches, and then draw over it. Yeah, be careful with it, because you can get lost in the detail, or you might just, like, need to make those finished drawings, those sketches, which is interesting. So we're doing it, we're snapping it, and then what I'm going to do then after that is he's going to angle his hand forwards to point. And you'll see this in action in a second here. So, like, watch this. Look, he's pointing. And what's really cool is you can extend the frames to keep you're basically holding the pose. So, like, the anticipation would be like right here. So we don't need them to move their arm until, like, right there, and then they can have a zippy action right here, maybe? I don't know how much I'll need, though. Yeah, see, like, he's banging his thumb now. His finger. Which is funny. That's just how, like, your brain kind of perceives it. And I may have made it a little bit too much. Yeah. And the timing is something you have to play with, and spacing is entirely different than timing. In fact, I wrote down what spacing is to me and what timing is, and spacing in my mind is perceived time. It is not actual time, it's perceived, because what you're doing is going from point A to point B. And the thing is, that can be in the same amount of frames. So I'll actually show that in practice, and I'll hide this real quick. You essentially can get two balls. So, like, I'm going to get one ball. I'm actually going to copy the animation. And you'll see the difference, like, immediately. And this is actually... I honestly kind of get mad that artists don't sometimes teach through their artwork, because it's a very powerful learning tool to actually explain things if they want to teach it. Or, like, tell somebody that they're doing something wrong. But beyond that, we got this ball. This is actually enough for me. I probably have too many. But, like, we got this ball. And now we're going to copy the animation. And then now we're going to just space out the drawings. So we're going to do this. And spacing is the physical space between each of the drawings. And what's going to happen, if you notice, is the drawings will progressively... they will progressively... Oh wait, no, I didn't do it. I need to copy it. Man. Is this it? Copy? There we go. Okay, because I'm trying to have a mirrored copy of it to show you how this will work. But basically, spacing is point A to point B. Right? So it's like literally the actual space of the drawings. And it emphasizes speed. It shows kind of how you'd want to represent speed. I'm gonna drag these off the canvas to show you more. But you'll see the difference is one is just clearly looking faster. And it's just the spacing of the object, which is interesting. It's an illusion, but you can have the same amount of frames and have something moving faster or slower depending on how close the drawings are drawn. That's why this can be a useful tool, and you can use it for easing and in and out. Yeah. And the reason I'm able to kind of explain this decent isn't because I'm a master or anything. I literally take in and suck knowledge in, and then I'll just distill it down to its simplest form of what I can kind of grasp out of it. And it's just how I kind of learn. And I like teaching people or giving some information back so people can understand things. But if you want to know the basics, like, so once you know how to do this, right, this kind of janky, like, arm movement, where the guy is going forwards, you can then play with that concept of braking, where it's like this. And I actually did it twice, I think. I did it right here. So it's like, where is it? It should have actually... I need to delete these balls. But it's right here. So you have this, and then you got this, and then boom, snap. Like it snaps right here. Because you see it's down here, and then snaps up here to this other direction. And then boom, it snaps to another direction. And then boom, he's pointing. So I actually snapped multiple times, and how this is the wave principle is waves basically alternate back and forth. So like it'll also have this snapping thing. This is how you can do fire, this is how you can do all these other things. Is the wave principle is like a fundamental principle that will help you in animation. I think Richard Williams tried to explain it through the snapping thing. And I don't know how effective it was. I'm assuming it was effective. Everybody loves this book. But yeah, that's my mindset on it. And now I'm going to animate something for fun. I don't know what it'll be. But yeah, so like this is the cool part of it, is you can literally just do anything you want now with that in mind, because what you're doing is the rough keys. And if you want to add physics to it, you could do that later through the in-betweens. So it's to me that's how I would do it, because it's easier, and you can get the big idea down faster through like basic timing and spacing, and then have like in-betweens fill in the gaps and make it a smoother animation. That is my opinion. I don't know how much I'm right or wrong, because I'm not in the animation scene yet, and I kind of want to be there. I kind of want to do comics. I kind of want to do all that stuff. So yeah. Let's say we got a guy, and then they're gonna bend over for reason. I don't know. And then they're gonna like jump scare you. I don't know. I can do that. That's the thing that's so wild, is I can do that. What'll happen is I'll do this. They'll be like bent over. They'll have like one side. And then let's say they're facing the other direction to jump scare you. It's like, yo, my bro turned into a skeleton. Right? Bro is just now a skeleton. His head just... Because your brain actually fills in the gaps of what's going on in this animation, which I think is the magic of 2D animation, honestly, is that you can fill in blanks in almost everything, which is insane. And then you can add clarity where you need to. So I don't know how this will look, because it needs to be spaced out more because of what I did. And this would be our anticipation, so we want that timed out higher usually. And then I guess I could add like maybe a frame in between. And be kind of a frame like this. Let's make him still a skeleton when we see his face again. His shoulders are too high. This is the issue, is like, if you freehand like this, you will have distortion in your poses usually. Just down to sizes. So you have to either be very conscious of it, or do, I mean, this is essentially pose to pose. I'm just like kind of freeballing it really fast and lazy. Yeah. And what's cool about this is I can literally, let's say his head like swoops out in a kind of like smearing fashion. Well, we can do that. We can just like elongate his head and make it look wacky. And what'll happen is, if I do it correctly, I don't know if I will, your brain will kind of like make sense of this. Which like blows my mind. Yeah. So like, I'll need to do this, and then I'll have to stretch it back. And I might want that to be short, so like, we'll do that, and then let's say that their stretch back is like really flat. And I actually could make it reverberate through the body, which would be funny. But I need change this to retransform. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, his head would be taller. It'd be up higher because like we squashed the body. And that was a Discord notification. I don't know what they did. Let's see what happens. So like, look at him. He's bouncing. And I'd probably hold that a little bit longer. You get boom, 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 right? His body is kind of doing that. And if I wanted to, I could wobble his neck, like his head further down, like his jaw, like swoops down this time. Like, you want the rubber effect. Like, this is it. This is the rubber effect, and it's so fun actually. Like, oh my god. And in fact, like, let's say your body went back up to where it should be. So like, it like, boom. And let's see what that looks like. It needs some work. I'm not an animator by trade, so, but I know some of the basics. And it's kind of fun. My thought is, like, if I can help anybody on their journey, of whatever they want to do. And if it's wrong, like, learn new things. Like, you don't have to listen to me. That's the biggest thing. And I think there's a beauty in, like, having voices and ideas out there. I don't know, this idea of right kind of bugs me. Like, I see guidelines that you can follow, and that's about it. But there you go. And honestly, like, if he overshoots like that, I might just do this. So I'll, like, add another frame to, like, have him shoot upwards. I don't know how wacky I'm going with this. And obviously the proportions got all jacked up at some point, but I think it should still work. I don't know though. Let's see. Extremely short frame. Yeah, there you go, as you got the animation all set up. I think this could be shorter, so it looks like he's going back down over and over again. Just to kind of show. Have this kind of speed up and then slow it down. Yeah, still faster. There you go. But the thing is, you can have a lot of fun, like, rotating the character around, like, rapidly with this. Because your brain kind of interpolates the images in between. That's the fun part of this. So, like, it's how I'm able to do some of the stuff that I recently did. And that's kind of... it's entertainment on its own. Like a jump scare type thing, or like, the person turns their head and changes, or like... just rapid turns is like the biggest thing that I think is fascinating about it. And the fact that you can do like wacky shapes with that and have fun. I think if I were to do a big example, it'd be, I showed it to my friend, and it's the idea that you can have, you only need 2 frames to do this realistically, which is wild. That's what I'm trying to get at. So we'll have this guy. And I could copy and paste his head, actually. I'll do that really quickly. Just for simplicity's sake, to show what I mean. And then we'll flip it. And then what will happen is your brain will interpolate these images together and say, yo, his head is rotating. And your brain will just get it. Your brain just gets that this guy is rotating his head. Even though it hasn't happened. This is how you can get the Sonic haircut going on both sides. This is how you have Goku going on both sides. It's actually how I draw my Moose. And the main reason is because it's the most cartoony thing or logic that you can ever do, really. Like, you can't do this in 3D easily, and I do 3D. Or I have done 3D. I don't do 3D. But, like, the way I do is I have a center line, so I'll draw this. I'll draw this next part. And I'll show you a turnaround. I mean, this is how I do turnarounds if I do them. And so this will be on the other side. These start to get this curve. And you get this, which would be full behind the figure. This. And then, boom. Back to a side view. Back to this side view. And we got a straight on. We do not need the straight on. That's the weirdest thing, is you don't need the straight on pose. Because it will just auto flip. Which is wild. I actually don't even need the back pose. So, like, I don't need that either. Which realistically means you only need, I think it was 6 frames? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To have a turnaround work. Which is interesting. So we'll do my Moose. And then Yeah. We got this. We'll have his antlers. And then we'll have his ears. And then, I guess you have the other side, because, like, you can't... Again, you can't see anything, because it's behind his head. And then, now we got back to the side view. And I might cut this this video short. I hope people have learned a bunch from this. I want to get in the habit of making videos, and I may talk about business later today or the next time I do one of these. Like my mindset of what I'm trying to do or want to do in the future, and kind of learn from. But yeah, I forgot his ears the whole time too. Because those would actually switch positions. I don't really care as much. If that's trying to be perfect, I probably would. But that should, aside from this, what is this one? This would be a... Is that forward view? It is. This is actually like a straight-on view for my Moose Man. So I have like his antlers. Yeah, there we go. And then he rotates. Look at him go. And I'll actually, usually, what I'll do is I'll have the frames out a little bit. And that's a hotkey setup that I have, that I made for myself so I could key things and get rid of frames faster. I actually have them hotkeyed to WASD, Z, and X. So I think Z adds or deletes frames. No, Z and X adds or delete frames. A and D scrubs, and S will actually insert a new keyframe. And the way I have Z and what's it called, creating frames, that is a auto action right here. And basically you can record what you're doing, which is what I did, and then under the shortcuts you can create hotkeys. So you have custom hotkeys for actions that you've done in the program. So that's how I do things really quickly with animation. And now we got Moose Man. It's nice talking. I wish I could do more. I just don't really have an inclination today.